Hello everyone, my name is Michael and I want to welcome you back to Sovereign Gaming. So today we are actually starting on a new area within my SimCity Sims 3 world build, and today that area is actually something that I did not intend to actually build on this episode. We ended up building the Central Business District, as you will see in the title here of the video. Originally, what I wanted to do is I wanted to set out to just kind of build and focus on the like a main plaza, like a main city plaza that would just sit in front of the government campus. However, today today the journey really took me to developing the Central Business District. I felt that it made a lot of sense that the Central Business District would have the main city plaza really just kind of sit at the foot of it. So that's exactly what we are setting out to build today. It's just really getting the layout done for the Central Business District and also the lots configured for the for both the Central Business District and the city plaza here. So a lot of things that we have to do and to get underway, and yeah, we are finally taking a hack at the downtown core grid and changing it up and really making it into an area that reflects what we intend to build there, as opposed to it just living as a grid. So that's something else that's pretty exciting for me, at least, is being able to fulfill that promise that we'll be hacking up the grid at a later time, and today we actually are. My vision with the city plaza is actually to make it more into the city park, like the big city park that you would find within major cities. So of course, some prime examples that come to mind include Central Park in New York City. I guess I'll throw in a Canadian example as well. Stanley Park in Vancouver is also another example of a large urban park within a city. I also believe Adelaide in Australia has one as well, if I remember correctly. But I could be wrong there. I'm not too familiar with Adelaide. I know Sydney for sure does. I just don't remember the Australian parks. Anyways, the only problem with trying to convey a large park within the urban area, actually there's a couple of problems. The first problem is that 64 by 64 lots just really don't do it justice. And I know I've been calling this like a city plaza this entire time. Well, the truth is that it's really going to be a mix of a city plaza and a park. So yeah, the 64 by 64 lots really just don't do a large park area justice. Now, I could have just dropped a 64 by 64 lot down there and just surrounded it with green trees and whatnot in Create a World, but I really wanted there to be multiple functions within the city plaza / park area that goes beyond the park. So, for example, at the just what will eventually border the city business district, and I do kind of fidget around playing with it a little bit. What ended up happening is that I really wanted the 64 by 64 lot facing the business district to function more of like a plaza and central, like, or major subway station, if you will. So when I eventually get to that build, you'll really see that come alive. And I've done it in the past where I have sunken in some terrain and have made and like kind of faked it to make it look like an open aired subway station. So that's kind of the plans there. And then of course I'll drop the actual props in from late night so that it actually functions as such. So yeah. That was part of the vision there, but I also want it to be surrounded by the city park. So it's just not only is this one part a very functional piece that actually moves Sims around, but the lots surrounding it are also contributing to part of the urban experience here. The other problem that I should mention here, because the first one is really just the size of the lots. The second problem is the fact that this is going to really fracture the city skyline in terms of the scale. Because when you look at the city skyline from different directions, it's going to look like there's a pretty big gap there from the city hall and the observatory towers on the government campus to the rest of the city. So it's going to look like one cluster of towers and another cluster of towers. And normally this wouldn't really appear as such, because the scale in normal cities wouldn't have that huge gap. But in the case of The Sims 3, this is actually going to be the case, because the lots are so big, I guess, and also there's just a lot of space being taken up. Granted, I could have squished it in there, but I also really wanted it to be more playable than anything else. I also think that it should be important to note that I did decide to widen the sidewalks, and I do plan to actually add some streetscaping to them as well. And when it comes to streetscaping for boulevards and for widened sidewalks and such, I'm actually going to be doing it on a case-by-case basis, because in this case, both of the widened sidewalks already are bordered by some boulevards that I do plan to actually add some streetscaping to in the middle. So yeah, the streetscaping on these widened sidewalks is actually going to be something that I will have to adjust the style for, just to reflect the fact that there will be a much more bolder choice added into the boulevard. But this is the general layout that we are looking at when it comes to the central business district, is that I've got about 4 50 by 50 lots that are kind of hanging out there. And what will end up happening is I'll be placing the business building, of course, in one of those lots there. And also I'm going to add in the science building as well from Roaring Heights. It's a very pretty, maybe a little subjective to say, but it is a building. I think it's a pretty building, and it's blue, and it looks really nice. And what I plan to do is I plan to add both the business building from Roaring Heights and the science building from Roaring Heights in the bottom 2 50 by 50 lots that just kind of open up the central business district, leading into the Central City Plaza, I suppose, or the Central City Park. And that was something that I had planned because there is a sight line that I really wanted to preserve as you're driving down the singular street there. Because what ends up happening is, as you're driving down it, you'll see it open up a little bit, and when you get to the end of it, and what it opens up into is really that big city park, and also the government campus skyline that's just going to be sitting behind it. So it's going to feel like a big park within the city, or at least a big swath of a big set of land that's just kind of nestled in there in the middle of the city, a very active place of the city, just based on where it's located, which would be with a lot of jobs and all of that. So that's really the idea here with preserving the sightline and with how the central business district is going to develop. Also, within the central business district, I also want to include an exclusive lounge in there. I want to also include the movie theater from Late Night, because it is a much taller building. So it is going to end up being a big cluster of taller skyscrapers here, like probably some of the tallest buildings, actually the tallest building, because the business building from Roaring Heights is a very tall building indeed. And I'm also going to include the bookstore from Late Night and also a penthouse condo complex as well. So lots of really tall buildings are going in within these 6 lots that are just kind of bordering this unique street design leading into the big park and all of that. And speaking of the main park of Sim City, I already mentioned it before, but the main plaza, the Main Street Plaza, I suppose this could be called Main Street. What do you guys think? But the Main Street Plaza is going to be the one that borders immediately with the the road layout as a 64 by 64 lot. Reason for that, again, is just because it is going to be a much more active neighborhood here with all of those jobs. So we've got to have that kind of street access at this location as opposed to the opposite end. I also want to include a live venue and theater. I want to put that on the top left corner. I feel like it would complement the park very well. And of course, like just north of the Main Street Plaza is going to be the big park in question here. So you're going to have a live venue, amphitheater just to the left of it, and then the main park just above it there. And then of course, like to the right of it, I want it to be a specific, it's kind of hard to describe, but I want it to be like a set of gardens, like really flowery gardens where you can actually host a wedding at, for both indoor and outdoor weddings. And then underneath the live venue amphitheater, I actually want to have like a private little dog park because it is a smaller lot. So I really wanted to kind of fit that function in. As for the other smaller lot on the other side of it, I thought about doing a cat jungle lot, but I just kind of really hate those and I don't feel like they're realistic in real life, and I've never really liked them in The Sims 3, so I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it, and I just don't want to do cat jungle there. But instead, what I'll do is for that last remaining smaller lot, I'm gonna make it a set of community gardens, like different raised flower beds or different raised vegetable beds or soil beds or whatever you call them. But I've also got the greenhouse DLC from the store, so I can certainly incorporate that here as well, just kind of where it makes sense. So yeah, that's the idea with these two areas, with the big park area and with the central business district, is to really find that balance of urban development and natural amenities that a city like this would offer. I also wanted to mention that the reason why I'm putting in like a live venue here as the amphitheater within the SimCity Park area is that Showtime came with a lot of interactive career opportunities, if I'm going to be quite honest. And I want that kind of gameplay to be realistically executed within the SimCity world. So I think I mentioned it before, but in Old Town, I'm going to have a private venue there, just as like some sort of a jazz club in Old Town. Whereas here, I'm going to actually put in like a live venue as an amphitheater. And the idea with that is just to kind of give a balance of those different types of venues that Sims would need in order to have a successful Showtime career. And if you haven't guessed already, when we get to the stadium build, which will actually be next, like the stadium and the hospital builds will be next. I will be just copying, pasting the stadium from Starlight Shores from the Showtime expansion pack because I'm not good at making large venues. I've failed very epically in the past. They're very complicated. I find them difficult to make. And B, it's just kind of already made, and it would have been the model that I would have gone with as well. So I don't need to reinvent the wheel when it comes to the actual stadium build when I eventually get to it after I export this world. But yeah, the idea of having several Showtime venues scattered throughout the city and throughout the region, because I've got some neat ideas coming up as well later on down the road, is to really provide that gameplay for players that enjoy the Showtime features. I am going to be finishing up this world with just placing in those streetlights. Again, streetlights are like the bane of my existence here. They are a big pain in the ass to actually implement and have to turn them around and all of that. Again, if somebody has like a neat little trick that they know of in Create a World that can make this process easier, please leave a comment. I am just living my life through each streetlight here, counting the streetlights as they go by, as my life goes by. But yeah, that is really all that I really had to show you guys for this episode. We're going to move into some tours here, so stick around for some regional tours. I've tried to like show you in the last couple of episodes that there is still quite a bit of land yet to build upon if I choose to do so. So that is certainly, like, we're not running out of space anytime soon is really what I'm trying to say here. And I'm very excited to kind of see how the SimCity series continues to grow and how I continue to build it. I've still got a couple of, we still have got a couple of details yet to iron out, but again, I'm coming back to do regions and different areas of the city. So that is certainly something that will be upcoming soon-ish. But yeah, as the series continues to evolve and grow, I've been really enjoying it, and I just want to thank you guys for watching the SimCity Sims 3 Create a World series that's kind of evolving right before our eyes. I really do appreciate it, and if you want to help me beat those algorithms, you know exactly what to do. Feel free to like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video and if you've been enjoying this series so far. Anyways, I'm gonna leave you with the tours here of the SimCity region as it is built right now, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful day. Thank you for watching.